Hi guys, I asked which length of video you preferred for the Let's Play, the longer videos, or whether you preferred me to split them up into parts, which is easier to buffer in YouTube and so on, and got over 2,500 votes, and the results are pretty much inconclusive. We got 52% of the votes for the longer videos and 48% for shorter videos, which means the long videos won, but by a hair's breadth. It really is. It seems to be pretty much 50-50, a slight preference for the long. There were also a variety of comments discussing the reasoning behind why people voted, and I found almost every comment to be compelling, whether it be for short or for long. I definitely agree that the long videos are better for your subscription box and for my channel page. I really don't like looking at my channel and seeing 10 appear twice and so on. Some of them 12, 3 times. I do think it makes my feed look really messy, and I just do not like that at all. And so I think I've got a slight preference for the long videos. But one of the arguments for the short videos was that some people could not actually watch the long ones. They wouldn't buffer correctly. They'd get about 20 minutes in and then it would reset. And other difficulties. There does seem to be some problem with videos over about half an hour with certain people's systems, whether it's mobile devices or even desktop computers. And that's a fairly compelling argument, because these are people who are not saying it's my preference, they're saying I just can't watch the long videos. So I am very torn on this, and I've come up with a fairly, well, probably a crazy idea, but I wanted to run it by you guys, and I'm going to try it out and we'll see how it goes. Now, I have actually already rendered a lot of episodes into the small parts on my system, and I'm uploading them as we speak, actually. And I'm actually quite far ahead of you guys. That gives me a little time to get creative, and that's what I've done. What I've done is I've gone back to part 11, which I've already uploaded the small parts, and I have made a long version, as you can see, 46 minutes. Now, I've uploaded this, and this is the one I'm thinking, this is the one I'm definitely going to make public. This will be the one that appears in your sub box, and it will appear on my feed, one part, one long part. However, I've already uploaded the short parts. So rather than delete them, what I've done is I've linked them in the description of the long one. And I will release the short ones not as public, but as unlisted. That means you can view them if you know the link, but they do not appear on your subscription feed. This means you can get to them from here. So that's part 1 and part 2. And I've also put the links for each of the other parts in the description as well, so you can go back and forth. One of the things that people were discussing was the naming convention. People prefer Chapter 2, Episode 11. So I've called it this in the description, but I've left it as part because I've already done the shorter parts. So up to about episode 14 or 15, 14 I believe, you're going to see Chapter 2 part 11, 12, 13 and 14. I will change it to episode after that. It definitely makes more sense, especially when I split these up into part 1 and part 2. Now, the upside of this is the subscription box will be very neat, hopefully. It will, I mean, if I look at my channel, I'm hoping this will make a lot of these repetitions disappear, which will look nice, and it will be good for your subscription boxes as well. The downsides, and there are some downsides to this. The first one is obviously it's a little extra work for me. Not that much, actually. All I did was what I've done is I've set my system up now fairly well, and I have separate machines for different tasks, and I set 2 machines up recording the long versions of the next 3 or 4 episodes, and it just did it overnight. It doesn't require me to be there. Obviously, it takes me a few minutes to do the editing, but once I've edited the small parts, it's actually relatively easy to bring them together, remove the cuts, and, have a long version. So it's not that much extra time rendering, and there is the uploading, but again, you upload and you leave it. I then have to go and edit the final upload, give it the details, but then I'll save a little time in not needing to make all the thumbnails for the parts. So it's a few extra minutes, but it's not as much as you might think. And I may be willing to do it. At the moment, I've got some free time, taking a couple of weeks off work to hang around with the family. So I'm not sure whether this will be viable, but at the moment, I thought we'd give it a try. The other downside, of course, is there are now more comments pages. What I would really like to see is some form of YouTube thing where I can upload separate parts and then link them, not as a playlist, because obviously all chapter 2 is at one playlist, but some compilation, and keep the parts all separate and then make the compilation what you watch, and you can flick through it and so on, but they share a comments page. That would be really cool if they could share a comments page, but they don't. So that's going to be a downside. There is going to be that. It's probably a crazy idea, and I know that. I don't know if it's going to work. It might even be unbelievably confusing for people. People might just be completely baffled as to what the hell is going on. But if I don't try, I'll never find out. And of course, if it is a complete failure, if no one can figure out what on earth is going on, I can just decide to release either the short or the long, and we'll see where it goes. Let's see what happens. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too confusing.